feel like Kobe in the fourth quarter.
This is the DaneMoore NBA podcast, and we are brought to you by Prize Picks, coming at Wednesday morning. It's November 19th. And coming up on today's show, I will be joined by Wolves beat writer Jace Frederick. Jace wrote a great piece in the Pioneer Press this morning about Jaylen Clark that we began the episode by talking about some really strong numbers from Clark in that piece that Jace put together. We also talk a little bit about the point guard position. If you listened over the weekend, Kyle and I discussed / sort of disagreed about that position when we recorded on Saturday night after the Wolves lost to Denver. So I wanted to spend some more time on that topic after thinking about it a bit more. So we spent a good chunk of time on that topic in this episode. And then we wrap up the episode just by talking about where the Wolves rank in the West right now, discuss what it will take to continue moving up those Western Conference standings. I do also want to note, in case you missed it, on Monday morning, but I did a show with Wolves GM Matt Lloyd. It's a very different type of episode than we would normally do. It's more just a straight interview. The meat and potatoes of this show is obviously doing daily shows on the latest with this Wolves team. But episodes like this one with Lloyd are something we're looking to add more of over the course of this year. And I love it if you checked it out. It's very evergreen. What we talked about with Matt is still relevant and will be relevant for a long time. So yeah, check that out. I really do think you will enjoy it. But if you have already listened to that and are looking for some more Wolves talk, we have that coming up next with Jace. Let's go.
Hey, yeah.
All right, we are now joined by Wolves beat writer Jace Frederick from the St. Paul Pioneer Press, just for some more Jaylen Clark talk. It is your weekly Jaylen Clark segment with Jace Frederick. No, we got a handful of things we're going to get to, but this morning you wrote about Jaylen Clark. It's fair to say this has been a bit of a hill that you've been on all season with Jaylen, and one kind of you've been proven right on in the impact that he's had here. But let's just go through a little bit of what this has looked like and what the impact that Jaylen Clark has had thus far this season, has been.
I mean, I think it's to the point right now where we always talk about like Rudy being like a top whatever defense unto himself. Like, I think Clark's it looks like that in his minutes so far. Like, they can put him with any combination, and the defense has been really good. And the obvious example of that is Naz and Julius. He's been kind of the elixir for that issue. His defensive rating with Naz and Julius for the year is 111, which is not bad, frankly, by any stretch. Since October 26th, I think it's 106, and that would be the second best in the NBA if you just did like team by team. Sure. And even with all that, even with the 111 with Naz and Julius, his personal, and he plays 39% of his minutes this year have come with Naz and Julius, and that number's only going up. Like, he's probably pretty much tied to those guys moving forward. But even with that, so this only 61% of his minutes elsewhere, his defensive rating on the season is 103.6, and that's fifth best among all non-Thunder players in the NBA. They play great defense when he's on the court, and it doesn't matter who else is out there. And you see why. And he even talked about it yesterday at practice. He's like, yeah, when it's Naz and Julius, I'm trying to pick up the point guard and get the ball out of his hands, because then the point guard, if they're going to run a play, like, he's got to go chase the ball around. That's eating a lot of time. Now, all of a sudden, they don't have time to get to what they want to get to, and that can be the difference between them eventually getting to the paint or not. And once, we're in trouble once they get to the paint. It's like, yeah, that sounds right. It's so much easier for your teammates to defend for 14 seconds than 24. And that's the difference he makes every single possession. Like, even Finch said, like, guys fear him. Like, they're kind of just trying to survive him out there. And that's dominant defense. That's not, hey, I'm contesting everything. You're not getting to what you even want to get to. You're not getting to your spots on the court. You're not getting into your actions. And that is a really high level of defense that not a lot of guys play.
And frankly, like, higher than I even expected going into this season and being high on Jaylen Clark and feeling like Jaylen Clark needed to be in this rotation this season. I was reading your thing this morning, and you wrote the top 5 defense thing in and of himself, right? But that's the Rudy Gobert. That's the Rudy Gobert line, right? Rudy Gobert, if he's on the team is a top 5 defense. And when I read that, I was thinking to myself, can that even be possible for a perimeter defender? We've kind of seen that to be true with Rudy, and obviously go like Victor and some other elite rim protectors over the years, like, yeah, those teams just kind of are a top 5 defense because of the presence of the player at the rim. I think if it's true that Jaylen Clark or like Marcus Smart was that if he was that when he was in his prime, it's a really high level, and it's kind of it would be a representation of like an evolution of the game in that skill set, that point of attack defender, that guy to slow you down, to give you problems getting into your action. Is just like kind of an evolution of the game in that way. I don't think I can go that far. I just think rim protection is still a lot more important than that. But obviously the numbers very much indicate it thus far this season. It'll just be an interesting thing is that NBA is different this year. We're seeing all these teams pressing. We're doing all this stuff. There is a higher impetus and value placed on guys who are playing on the perimeter and harassing the primary ball handler. I don't know. It's just going to be fun to kind of watch over the course of the year of like how impactful, not just Jaylen Clark, but, you know, like the Tamani Kamaras and the whatever, those type of dudes around the league. What impact really is that? I do think it's fair to say it's higher than 5 years ago, given how the game has even just started to evolve.
I would love to get the chance to find out. I don't think we will on this team, but could he do that for 30 minutes? Could he do that for 35 minutes? Would we see that impact inevitably wane because, just the effort required? Like eventually you wear down. But for what he is right now, like I kind of feel like he maybe is that because of how he exerts himself in that time. Like it is possession after possession. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That like a team that in 20 seconds of offense, like when they have to play 14 or 12 seconds of offense, because that's all they've got. Like we've seen it with the Wolves when they dribble the ball for the first 10 seconds of the clock, the offense gets far worse. And so if you are making the opponent do that, and don't get me wrong, like there are certainly guys where that wouldn't be the case against because they can just handle that pressure with their ball handling and how to get off the ball, actions to quickly get it back, stuff like that. But that's the same way with Rudy, where we see teams where a Rudy defense doesn't have an answer for those elite teams. So there's not too much difference there, but you just see like the night after night, it is like, I don't want to dribble up against this guy. I'm going to turn the ball over. So you take it, I'll try to get it back later. And then Clark makes it really hard to get it back. And the thing is like,
he's not on the shot clock by then. Yeah,
there's nothing. You're toast. I mean, like now your points per possession off that is like 0.6, he's not always guarding the best player because he doesn't start, but I think he's guarding the best player a fair amount. And then when even that guy is just trying to take him off the bounce, and like his defensive field goal percentage is no defensive stats perfect, but they are all informative in some way, shape, or form. And then as the season goes along, I think they're more and more informative. 36.4% against him this year. Like that's fourth best in the NBA. And he's taking on whatever the best assignment is when he's on the court. So like that's an insane number, and that's what it looks like. Is like nobody's getting the look they wanted to get against Jaylen. Mm-hmm. It's like there was one against Denver where Murray scored one, and even Murray did like his. Like I'm pretty impressed with myself on that one. And Jaylen even like shook his head, but it was like that's basically what you have to do to beat this guy right now is hit something heroic, and that's possession after possession after possession.
So I don't think you're arguing for 30 minutes a game for Jaylen Clark. You're arguing or just putting numbers around the idea that he very much deserves to be the 8th man on this team and the 18 to 20 minutes or whatever that comes with it. But why not 30 minutes? Like what are the reasons to not be playing him more if it's all of the numbers that you're laying out there?
I mean, I think it's just that the Wolves roster is too good, because I know you can point at the shooting and you could say that, but you remember this, like the Thunder went 7 games in the bubble and they had Lou Dort just chucking the rock and not shooting a great percentage back then. And then eventually that percentage rose. But I think that was beneficial for Lou Dort, like full offensive confidence that he still possesses today. And I think that has absolutely impacted his shooting in a positive way. They just had a roster where they could do it. Like they were good, but they weren't super deep. Dort was absolutely one of their best 6 players or whatever. And I think that helped him a lot. I actually do think that Jaylen's one of those guys where if you could say, you're so great defensively, we are willing to put up with offensive warts. We want you to play 30 minutes and work through that. I understand why it's not the reality on this team, but I do think that in a lot of teams that would be the case. I actually do think that would be better for him in the long run. But it is just kind of a reality of this team. So that's why if you want 30 minutes on this team, you got to hit the ball. You got to hit threes at like a 38% clip. But even still, I don't know if the trust would be there, just in terms of when push comes to shove. We saw in last year's playoffs. We saw it again Saturday in Denver, where they tried. They're like, we're in a real boxing match here with Denver. Like, let's go with
offense.
Let's go with our Nas and Julius without Jaylen out here, which hasn't worked all year. Let's try it again in the fourth quarter. So we'll see if we can outscore the Denver Nuggets. And it failed miserably. They gave up 36 points, but they always kind of default to that. So I don't know if they would ever fully trust Jaylen to that level anyway. Like when the chips are down, like Jaylen only played 11 minutes against Denver, and his defensive rating that game was 80. It just didn't matter. They were going to resort to offense when things get tight. That's what they do. But that doesn't mean he couldn't get it. And I still understand, like, the Wolves have so many good players that I don't think it's possible for him to get to 30 here. But he's one of those guys where I don't think it would be bad at all if he did. I just think it's just the reality of this situation.
Yeah, it's like, and again, you bring up Lou Dort. I mentioned Kamara, like those guys when they were coming up, like the Blazers and Thunder were bad, right? And so those teams just kind of said, but yeah, your offensive
the Thunder
game
were
is
in the
not
bubble and they weren't bad. You know, like that's what I'm saying. Like even good teams can do it. Like the Thunder empowered Dort even when they were playing for things. And then 2 years later they weren't. But yeah.
It started, they got their opportunity because they were on a team bad enough to haven't just kind of like only 4 starters on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then they were like,
not great.
All right, let's just have this Dort guy go in and be the 5th guy out there. He's going to at least do this defensively. The Blazers, also bad the last couple of years, did the same thing. That's just not available like on the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves compared to those Blazers and Thunder teams, completely different class of team. So I get it. And I'm not advocating for 30 minutes. I'm kind of a believer in Jaylen Clark's shot as far as a catch and shoot guy. I don't think we're going to have a Kyle Anderson situation. I don't even think we're going to really have like a Jaden McDaniels situation where it's like the confidence gets crushed and all of a sudden it's like 11 straight 3-point misses over the course of the week. I think there's definitely a low ceiling to Jaylen Clark's offense, but I don't think the floor is that low, which just kind of constantly, especially in hindsight, when I'm looking at the Denver game and something like that, I'm like, why didn't they just do that? Like, why didn't you just have Clark on Murray? What would have that cost you offensively? I don't think we fully beta tested Jaylen Clark like offensive player, because whenever the game shifts and it feels like they need more offense, that is when Clark comes out of the game. And I get that from Finch's point. It's like, all right, well, Dante DiVincenzo is still like a good defender. Let's just put him in there. And then we have more shooting. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't think any of us know what Jaylen Clark could be if fully empowered, because I'm seeing a player that looks a lot to me like Alex Caruso, like 4 or 5 years ago, where you would watch that and be all the fun defensive stuff, but clearly like, I don't know if that guy can dribble. I don't know if that guy could shoot, but I want Alex Caruso to play. And then kind of over time, he chipped away at some of those skills and developed it. I think it's going to be fascinating to see. And I'm not wagering one side or the other, but I am not ruling out like a Caruso type arc for this kid, because I haven't seen him do anything bad yet. So why would I sell any stock on this? You know what I mean? Like, what's the risk? I don't know. I don't see the downside really.
And I think when you talk about developing young players, and Jaylen's like 24, so it's not like he's, green or anything, but when you're like, okay, who can be a part of this team long-term? I'm always like, who can be a part of a championship team long-term? And like in part of a championship rotation. And then there's some guys where I'm like, I don't know. Jaylen, I'm pretty confident can be. So that's something where I think that's more of a worthwhile development project of continuing to empower and grow. And you talk about like the shooting stuff.
Well, that's what we were saying about Nikhil last year. Sorry to cut you off, but that was the same thing. Once we started talking, we got to like the trade deadline and those sort of things. We started talking about what Nikhil's next contract was going to be. I was like, it's going to be high. It's going to be higher than people think it's going to be, because I know what Nickeil Alexander-Walker plays basketball like, and I know, and I could see that in a conference finals. Maybe not a starter, maybe not something like that, but that you do that, what you do every single night when I see you in the regular season, and you do that in the playoffs, like that's going to play in the playoffs. And I think that is a shift from, 5-10 years ago, where those guys were like role players. And maybe when the playoffs came, you take a step back from them. I think in today's NBA, the Nickeil Alexander-Walkers are going to get paid. Nikhil's getting $16 million a year over 4 years. Isn't Caruso like on a 4-year, $80 million deal? And I know those guys are better than Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. But like,
yeah, I mean, at this point in their career, they're better than Clark, right? I mean, like where Jaylen's heading, maybe, I don't know. But with what you talk about the shooting and the dribbling, the biggest thing for me is like when he plays offense, I'm like, but I know he understands offense because I watch him cut at the right time every time, and this team doesn't have hardly any of that. Some of the least frequent cutters in the NBA. Every single year they have been for the last 5 years. They are, if you go to like frequency of cutting, it's like bottom 4. And this guy knows how to do it, and he picks the right spots to do it, of when to like go from the corner down to the dunker spot. And now it's like, now he's an available passing option at the rim. And even like this year, one of the things is like, why is he missing so many of these layups at the rim? But especially early in the season, but it's like, he's in the right spot every time. So if you know how to move and like maintain proper spacing and cutting to like provide outlets, like that's all super beneficial. And I think the more you play and the more you are just like empowered, the more confident you play with on that end, sure. and probably, but I like that he hasn't shied away from anything offensively. I think he's taking the shots when he's supposed to take them, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I like a lot of what he does. And I'm just, it's like he does the Caruso pest stuff, but I really think like in terms of just like his build and physicality, I think that's where he is a little bit of Dort too, which I think is just not like he's those two combined, but like attributes of both, which I think the ceiling of defensively is insanely high. And you talk about role players, like I've thought about this a lot lately, like on the offensive end, absolute role player. On the defensive end, like the star, some guys are defensive role players. Like and on that end of the court, you're a role player. This is our star. Like Rudy's been that for however many years. And Jaylen Clark looks like that too. A defensive star, and I think an ascending one.
What do you think his role is going to look like when Terrence Shannon Jr. returns?
I really don't think it should change. But when we talk,
not the question.
I know. I think it won't change to start. But I think if like TJ had a couple good offensive games, I just think that's clearly what this team values more. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if like Jaylen had like a couple games in a row where he goes like 0 for 2 from 3 or something, and the offense dips a little bit, and maybe TJ comes back and plays a lot better than he was playing before he got injured. Like we can forget that he was really struggling like mightily when he got hurt. But if he comes back and plays like he played a little bit closer to what he was in the playoffs against the Thunder in those couple games, and then even like Portland, like if he shows more of that, then I could see them being like, he could play a little bit of defense and offense, and then we could see it dwindle. I think that would be a big mistake. I think he really should be solidified at least like 18 to 20 a night. I think that should be like set in stone for the rest of the year. And if it's not, I think that's a mistake, but I don't know. We'll see.
Today's show is brought to you by Your Home Improvement Company. And we know that there is a chunk of you out there who's thinking, I have this home improvement project I need to get done before it snows. And we would love if you made Your Home Improvement Company your answer for that project. If it's windows, if it's bathrooms, they have those deals going. Buy 2 windows, get 2 triple pane windows, free windows that come with a lifetime warranty and are installed by certified professionals. Your Home Improvement Company also specializes in transforming bathrooms, and they are offering that 30% off deal on bathroom remodels to our listeners. But it can be any project around your house, and whatever the project is, Your Home Improvement Company offers great financing deals that require 0 money down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2027. Contact Your Home Improvement Company by calling 866-777-YHIC or by going to yourhomeimprovementco.com. I know there's a group of you out there who needs to get something done. We would love it if you supported our friends over at Your Home Improvement Company. Your Home Improvement Company, where it's your home made better. Let's also take a quick break to look at Prize Picks, because today's show is also brought to you by Prize Picks. And because we're recording this on Wednesday morning and the Wolves play the Wizards this evening, we can make a Wolves Prize Picks lineup. These are my favorite. I was looking at it this morning, and my 2 picks from that game from the Wolves that I like are Julius Randle to have more than 5.5 free throw attempts and Rudy Gobert to have more than 0.5 assists. So just to have an assist in the game. That Rudy number on assists feels really low. He led the Wolves in assists against Dallas on Monday night. And just generally, I think this season he's been seeing the floor well as a passer on the short roll there, which I think he will be asked to do against Washington. So yes, I think he will have an assist. And then I also feel like this is a good game for Randle to sort of reassert that force. I think we see him attack the rim tonight, and I think that leads to 6+ free throw attempts. I will note that Prize Picks lineups do require having players from at least 2 different teams. So you can have a lineup with Gobert and Randle, but you maybe need to throw a Wizards player in there, or it can be a player from a completely different NBA game. It can even be a different sport. You can make this lineup with Gobert, Randle, and then throw in a pick from an NFL game this weekend. There's always something going on over at Prize Picks. As a reminder, how it works to put together a lineup at Prize Picks, all you need to do is put 2 or more picks in your lineup to win. If you don't yet have a Prize Picks account, all you got to do is put in the promo code Dane when you sign up, and you'll receive $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks app using promo code Dane when you create your account. To set it in stone, Jaylen Clark's 18 to 20 minutes a night would, and play Terrence Shannon Jr. would require some sort of recourse that would, probably be Rob Dillingham being out of the rotation. And to kind of tie that I sent to you too, I want to talk about the point guard position a little bit here. I guess first just start with that. Say tomorrow Terrence Shannon Jr. is coming back, which is not happening, but this hypothetical. Like Terrence Shannon Jr. is coming back. They want Terrence Shannon Jr. to play, but they go, Jaylen Clark is still very important to us. We still want to play him 18 minutes a night. Rob Dillingham is out of the rotation. How do you think about that from just sort of like a short-term and long-term perspective?
I think that's all right. Just in terms of when we do think about the point guard position, I do think they found with Julius kind of initiating a lot of stuff, and it's been better. Dante just isn't a guy who can bring the ball up the court. I think a lot of times it's can you bring the ball up the court? If the guy you want to bring the ball up the court is getting pressured. If it's hey, Julius is bringing it up or whatever, Ant's bringing it up. Oh, they're going to apply some pressure here. Can you just get some cohesion to be you bring it up, you're not getting pressured? Dante can do that. All that kind of stuff. You do fall into then we're not initiating stuff the way we want to. But I think if they actually play with the general pace that they've possessed, which the only question then comes down to if the game becomes a grind, are you in more trouble here? But I don't really see a solution otherwise, frankly. I think it's play with pace, get into our offense, play off the catch, have guys very simple offense. And that's the answer. And if we need to get super organized, then that's when you can inject Mike Conley for his 18 minutes a game or whatever.
That is how Finch wants to play offense.
Right. It is.
Get organized. It's play off the catch.
Right. I agree. I agree. I think that's not even necessarily super necessary for a point guard if you get everybody to buy into that. I do agree with that. I just think then when you face the really elite defenses that are making it tough to dribble the ball up the court, and now it's let's play off the catch. It's cool. We have 14 seconds to do so, and we don't have any obvious advantages to create these driving lanes, punch these gaps, and play the way we want to play. We can't get it started. And then that's when it turns into Ant dribble for 10 seconds and then shoot it. And you can say and I get frustrated watching it, but it's but they can't get into what they want to get into against some of these teams. It's a very small number. But it is always but what's the plan when everybody on the other team's good on ball? And it's we can't penetrate the 3-point line. When it's what Dallas looked like against the Wolves on Monday. When the Wolves look like that, what's the plan? Oklahoma City, Portland, whatever. When it's there's no obvious advantage here. How do we get started?
Did you take a look at some of the on-off point guard numbers that I sent you in the email?
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at the numbers of no Dillingham and no Conley on the floor. There's no point guard out there. And that has an awesome offensive rating this year for the Wolves. 127.2, which is a mile ahead of what the number one offense in the NBA is overall the Wolves offense has been really good, 120.6. They're third or fourth or something in the league in offense. But the Wolves offense has been substantially better when neither Mike Conley nor Rob Dillingham are on the floor, and the defense has been the same. They don't statistically haven't lost anything defensively. What do you make of that?
I think that is absolutely the best way to beat teams when you are better than them. You put your most offensive talent on the court, and even defensively, and that's how you create separation, because it's like they can't guard any of you. Now they can't guard any of the five of you on the court. So when you can get five scorers out there, and now everybody can create an advantage off the bounce, and now it's really easy to drive in and draw help and kick, and everybody can shoot. Yeah, when you face some of the teams that they've been facing, I think that's easily the best way to create the best numbers. Is like those five guys, or even like what we saw like against Brooklyn or whatever. It's like, yeah, those three and Naz and Julius or whatever. Like, we're going to score 150 points against these teams. I think that I would bank on that on a nightly basis.
So then let's do Mike. It's basically the same offensively when he's on or off. Like, it is the same offensive rating when Mike is on or off the floor, which are both good. So that's neither an indictment or a crowning of Mike. And then the defense is slightly better with Mike Conley on the floor than when he's off the floor, or has been thus far this season, which I looked it up, and that's pretty much the story of last season too with Mike Conley. They were the same offensively with him on or off the floor, and slightly better with him defensively on versus off. I think this just is what Mike Conley is right now. You know, there's clearly things he can't give you that, like, the people out there that are pounding the table for needing a point guard want. And I get, like, my answer to like how the Wolves would solve the point guard position is like take 4 years off of Mike Conley's life, right? Like, you just get a younger person, right? You get a younger Mike Conley, you get 34-year-old Mike Conley in here. And
when you say that, it sounds like you wanted to die 4 years earlier.
I was kind of regretting saying it in that sort of way. Taking 4 years off of his age. We're recording early. We just kill. Well, might be some people on Twitter that I've seen.
I was almost like, wait, maybe he's saying play him 35 minutes a night, and that will mean that he will live 4 years less because of how much wear and tear was out there. But I didn't think that was where you were going, but that was the only way I could connect those dots. And I was like, I don't think he's saying that, but
isn't the answer just the answer to the Wolves point guard position a younger Mike Conley? And that's obviously not going to happen. Like, what are the alternatives here? I mean, I'll do the Rob numbers in a second. Spoiler alert, they're not good. I don't know. I don't know if there's something better out there available in the multiverse of opportunities right now than what Mike is giving you right now, which is when he's on, it doesn't hurt the offense. And when he's on, it doesn't hurt and slightly improves the defense while lacking juice. You know, what else is out there? What are the other options? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. And no, I agree with you. Well, there just aren't that many point guards left in the NBA. I believe that. Just watching on a night-to-night basis. And I don't think it's necessary except for when things get sticky and tight, which is usually in key spots of games and the playoffs. The games where you're like, how do we generate offense against this team that is defensively good enough to stop us? Not the Lakers, who have Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, even LeBron, not awesome defensively. Like, they've got the same five guys out there the whole game. Like, not Ant can drive by any of these guys. And so offense is really easy to generate. But the times when you can't, that's the only, like, the Celtics were a prime example for the past decade of, like, they oftentimes didn't need one. It was just then when things got sticky at the end of games, we saw them kick away so many playoff games because they couldn't get themselves out of their rut. Because then they would just devolve into, like, just going to shoot this three. And we see Ant do that same thing, you know? And so it's like, who can get you out of this? Who can be like, we're going to run this set? And it's usually not like something that the coach could just do. Like, it's got to be somebody on the court who can you inject into the game to do that. That's why I think it only matters towards the end. So it's the best when your best player is SGA or Jokic, who can basically be like, we're running this play. Jokic pick and rolls will never get stagnant. But so I just think for the Wolves, it's like, it's not super necessary, except when it really is. But what's the value of that? And what's the cost of acquiring
What's
it?
the cost
I
to
don't
acquire
know.
it?
Right.
Because
Because you don't need it for 90% of your season. So it's very easy to watch large chunks and be like, we don't need a point guard. It's very easy to do that until you clearly do need one. And then you're like, oh, yeah, okay, this is our ceiling without one.
Okay, but let's pull on the string a little bit. Like, so me and you, we run in the Timberwolves, we sit down and we decide we do need one because those are the highest leverage moments, and we think we're going to win the championship, can win the championship this year. We need to address that thing. We need to address having this point guard option so we won't be flummoxed when like the money's on the line in May. What do we do? What is that? Like, what is even a hypothetical path forward? Who is that point guard that they're trading for?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know
what
that is.
I would be at the table and be like, no, this doesn't work. We're just going to play Jaylen Clark at the end of games. They're not going to score, and we're not going to score. Hopefully, we score a couple times in transition, and we're going to win the same way that the 23-24 Timberwolves won games.
There's definitely better point guards out there than Mike Conley for sure. There are point guards in the league. They
usually mean a lot to the team they're on.
Exactly, and cost a lot of money.
Right.
So then if you're the Wolves, just say it's Ja Morant, right? Like, which I actually don't think solves all these things that we're talking about specific to the Timberwolves from a point guard position. Let's talk about it like that from the hypothetical of him making $40 million a year. Like you want Ja Morant because you agree with Dane and Jace that the Timberwolves, when the money's on the line, need a point guard out there. Okay, well, who are you sending out then? Are you sending Rudy out, right? In this Ja Morant trade? Because now we've traded one problem for a problem that's going to be a problem every single night for you, right? Like you have no rim.
We're not getting to that point where we really needed one. We're not advancing to that point anymore.
And then okay. So now Rudy. How about Jaden McDaniels? No, not trading this Jaden McDaniels for Ja Morant because now we've traded even for a bigger issue on our team, Julius Randle. I mean, I guess more so than the other two, but Julius Randle's having like an incredible season, and the offense is built around him. Yeah, so like Nas, I mean, I get, but you're not getting Ja Morant for Nas Reed. It's just like there's,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's hypothetical. That's the whole part about this whole thing is like neither you nor I would trade for Ja Morant in any way, but then you just say a name. Like I think Ja is like
Trae Young.
Yeah, okay, sure. Just run this by you. It's totally off topic. But I had this conversation with somebody the other night, and it was, when do you have your peak athleticism? Like not your prime, but your athletic prime. Like I think you play your best basketball when you're 26 to 30. But when are you at your most athletic in your mind?
If we factor in strength as part of the athleticism thing as much as you use speed, I don't know. I mean,
speed, quickness, jump the highest, all of that.
I'm just trying to define what athleticism is. Yes. I would factor strength into that. And I think that's why when people say 27, they say 27. Just because you fully come into the strength of your body. But yeah, if we're talking about quickness, speed, those sort of things, it's really young.
Probably like 21, 22,
23, 24.
Right?
Yeah, right. Like at high end 23, 24.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I think guys like Ja Morant, it's like, oh, you aren't automatically, you've lost a quarter of that step, and that step was so much everything to why you were unguardable. So that when you don't add the skills along the way, like when you haven't, that 3-point shot isn't good enough, things like that, and you don't have that instant advantage every single possession, like he still has some great nights, but you just see like this guy we were talking like MVP to like forget the off court stuff, like just the play is not that same caliber anymore. I think quickness is a key for a lot of guys, and it could start that way, but you have to continue to develop. You have to get stronger. You have to understand the game more. You have to add a lot of skills to yourself. And when you don't, then all of a sudden it's like you are not the same caliber player you were at 22, even if that doesn't make any sense. Because you've lost
that's the
quarter step. That's exactly why I brought it up. And I was talking, and I thought it was very interesting of that to me makes a lot of sense. So that's
Yeah.
just my little John Morant rant. And
Yeah, no,
throwing that on
I,
him as a player.
yeah, no, I hear that, and it's well, it does kind of tie to Rob in a way too, of like, because I'm curious about. I was watching the Blazers Suns game last night before the 10 p.m. start. I only got to halftime, but Caleb Love is just killing it in that game for the Blazers, and
Caleb
I'm
Love.
thinking, yeah, what'd you say?
And I loved Caleb Love just in the tournament. I was like,
Good.
I know this guy has a million warts, but oh my god, he like is the one guy I've seen who can score against Duke.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, and he was doing it. He was doing it last night against the Suns, and I'm thinking to myself, like, he had, I don't know, like for sure double digits in the first quarter of the game, and he came off the bench. He's just, I was like, when is going to be the first Rob Dillingham game that's
Sure,
like
plus
that?
8 in Caleb Love's minutes and a 17-point loss. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened in the second half. My prime takeaway from the game was the first quarter. Like, Caleb Love is nice.
Yeah.
And then I was like, is like, when will Rob be able to do that? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, Caleb Love is he 24? How many years
he
is
might
he in
even
college
be.
for?
I mean, he's at least
25.
I think he's at least 24 here. He's
So
24. Okay, he just turned 24 in September, so not to age him too much. He did just turn 24.
It's still 4 years older than Rob Dillingham.
Yeah, right. But you see, I mean, right.
And
But Caleb Love is not just like I'm going to beat you. I'm going to get by you because I'm quicker than you.
Sure. It just was another thing to me of like, and I actually mean this in a positive way to Rob, of I don't think we should take firm positions on what Rob Dillingham could be. Because I feel like in the last week, just like talking to my friends and stuff like that, like I think a lot of people started waving the white flag on Rob Dillingham of like, all right, he's JJ McCarthy, and this just isn't going to work. And I mean, I haven't been impressed by what I've seen from Rob Dillingham in the 2 years, but I do think this like 20-year-old piece to it, given how small he is, given all those things, is like he's better than Caleb Love. Like, he's gonna be better than Caleb Love. It's just that he's younger than him and is not at that athletic prime, and is not. And I just think it is going to take time for Rob Dillingham to be what they want him to be. And until that time comes, he is not going to be part of the solution, like a major part of the solution for whatever we're talking about here at the point guard position for the Wolves. The Wolves offensive rating is atrocious with Rob Dillingham on the floor this year, like significantly worse than when he's on the bench. 105.4. It's like 120 something when he's on the bench. Defensively, it's about the same with him on or off. We've always praised Rob's like locked inness on defense. I actually think he's like developed having like really good hands defensively. But whatever this segment is right here, we're talking about the point guard position and what they need. Like, I think Rob could be the answer for that, but not tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's just not it's not imminent that he's going to be able to start answering these questions for you, which I think doesn't mean we should just give up on him, but maybe you should kind of give up on the idea that he's going to be a big part of the solution this season, which is really relevant for a team that sees themselves to be a contender this year.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I kind of push back on the thing of that you have to, like, if you're not there yet, and I think we agree that he's not there yet, are you going to get it by playing? Is that automatically how you get there? Or can you,
I don't know,
work on stuff, get stronger, play G League games?
What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. Cause I do see the thing of like, I think it hurts the team when he's out there right now. And
I feel like it's hurting him when he's out there right now.
I agree, but I was going to say that same thing. That's where I was going. Is like, I don't think it's helping his confidence and whatnot when he's out there right now either. But I don't know if just sitting on the bench is I think you might lose him in that way. I don't know. Like it's a very
Right.
tough spot.
Possibility.
It's a tough spot of like, it's not everybody's built to like come in on a great team and like
Sure.
bide time or whatever. Like sometimes he might be somebody where like, I'm not saying like, oh, trade Rob Dillingham, but just like thinking about it, he might have been like somebody where it's like, oh, he developed, worked on his skills, blah, 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 in this spot where he got 30 minutes a game. Maybe that would have been better for him in the long run. I don't know. And maybe it will work out just fine here too. Like, but as far as like, what would you do with Rob for the rest of the season? I don't know the answer because I don't know if it's like, is playing 10 minutes a game, 8 minutes a game? Is it like, oh yeah, wow, it's really learning and growing or whatever.
Right.
But I would not play more than that. And I don't know if I'd play on those 8 to 10 when TJ comes back because like this team should be good right now. And it would be doing a disservice to everybody else, I think, to force more Rob minutes out there. So it's a tough spot. I don't really have an answer. That's one where I'd be like, I don't know, the coach type of situations.
Yeah. Today's show is brought to you by Skims, and we are excited to have Skims back as a sponsor for the holiday season. You know the drill. Skims is now available on the men's side of things, specifically men's underwear, and I promise you they would make for the most comfortable men's underwear you could gift to a family member this holiday season. My personal favorites are the stretch 5-inch boxer briefs because they're a two-way player. Wear one pair to the gym, another pair for lounging at home. With Skims, you don't need to have different brands of underwear for different activities. And if a stretch type of brief is not your style, Skims has you there too. They also have cotton briefs, amongst many other styles. I think you should try and find a pair that works for you. Be more comfortable. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and Skims stores and let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. The show is sponsored by BetterHelp, and this November, BetterHelp is encouraging everyone to reach out, check in on friends, reconnect with loved ones, and remind the people in your life that you're there. Just as it can take a little courage to send that message or grab coffee with someone on your team you haven't seen in a while, reaching out for therapy can feel difficult too, but it's worth it. It's almost always one of those things that leaves people wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? We know the holiday season isn't easy for everyone, and it's important to stay connected. We're healthier when we have community and when we have support. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, having served over 5 million people globally, and it works. With an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for live sessions based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/DaneMoore. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DaneMoore. I do also my main point of bringing this up is the first thing I talked about is
we don't have an answer
really
for that point guard
successful
thing. Oh, I think you're talking about like who do you add for point guard. I was like, we came up with the list of 0, so that was pretty good.
Right. Well, that's what I'm just getting back to is like what I've kind of been saying is like the point guard thing is no point guard on the floor.
Yeah,
for the Wolves this year, and thus far that rules. You know, you poked a big old hole in it. That's totally fair. Of like that's working against bad teams, and you don't believe it's going to work against good teams. I'm currently
just because it's 0-5 against good teams.
Sure. Trend, not a proof. I think and
agreed.
And so like we could see on that. It's just I was concerned, confused, like moving from yellow to red about the point guard position on after opening night, right? And Portland and through training camp, and the Mike gets moved to the bench and all that sort of stuff. And I don't feel like this is as big of an issue as then. That is decreasing for me over time, though I do. Yeah, and I don't know. I do have in the back of my mind too what your point as well. I think the move is to just kind of hope and empower the idea that can improve over time. That Ant can be more like Shea, that you said like, oh, the Thunder don't need a point guard because they have Shea. Like,
I mean, Shea is a point guard
too.
That's just a legitimate truth. Yeah.
Excuse me. I think that personally, that's the path that I would go down. Keep playing Mike, 20 minutes a night or whatever Mike's playing. And then through Ant and Julius, hope you have enough at that position because I just don't. I don't see the alternative, and I think we've somewhat gone through the alternatives here of like trading or more Rob. And for right now, neither of those, I think, give us what we're hoping to get out of that.
It's on Ant to become as good as Jason Tatum as like a playmaker. Like that's not Tatum's very, very, very good. So I'm not trying to like detract here, but like he's not like sees the game at like a Luka LeBron level. But he has gotten better and better and better at that. And there's no reason why Ant can't hit that ceiling. And if he hits that ceiling as far as just like seeing the game and attacking and using his advantages, some games solely for other people. And if you pair that with Julius Randle's playmaking ability, like that should be enough. So I think it's just the answer to that question is Ant getting to that level, not thinking I'm Luka Doncic, because I think that's a dangerous level. I'm James Harden. I'm Luka Doncic. I think that's not great. I think if you can get to the Jason Tatum level, that both fits into what they want to do as a team and who he can be realistically. And I think that's how you maximize the offense without a point guard out there. Now, like I said, like I still think like the one year the Celtics won the title was the year they didn't actually face any resistance. And I think they didn't win it the other years. And I think there's a reason for that. And you saw whether it was the Warriors in the finals, whether it was some of those Heat conference finals of like, wow, they are stalling out right now. Like, and they have lost their minds in the same way that we've seen past Wolves teams do that. In
the Thunder. Yeah. That Celtics series was the Wolves Thunder series, you know, like what you're referencing. It's the same. It's the same thing. So people are right to point out that the Wolves need a point guard. I can't argue that. I'm just, again, I don't know what this alternative path.
And all of these conversations do come back to it. I do find myself like I did in the preseason and even now of like you're talking about like if you're going to win the title, and it's like, all right, like at some point when a team goes back to back Western Conference Finals, the conversation just naturally goes to winning the title. But it is like that's a problem for like 10% of the season. They've done a lot of other good things thus far. And like, I don't know. At some point, do you go, I don't think they're going to win the title? You know, like, is it constantly like looking for solutions to win it? If I don't think they're going to win it this year, I don't know. And not to say that things can't change, but right now it'd be like, are they a title team? I think everybody watching this and these two guys talking right now would say no. So I don't know if it's something that has to like be belabored for, well, they're not going to win the title unless they do this and this and this. It's like, I mean, what they have right now is good enough to win a lot of games. I do firmly believe that.
To contextualize where the Wolves are in contenderdom, it would be to look at the other teams in the Western Conference. I did this last night, so I don't know if things moved at all after the games last night, but the Wolves were 5th in the NBA in net rating, even with garbage time removed, you know, taking out the Utah stuff and those sort of things. Like, Wolves have been an awesome offensive team thus far this season, while now moving themselves into being statistically, you know, close to a top 10 defense. They're thus 5th in net rating. There are 3 Western Conference teams ahead of them in that, and it's the 3 Western Conference teams that a month ago or 6 weeks ago when we were talking, you and I did the segment on the West. It's the 3 teams that we thought might be ahead of them: Oklahoma City, Houston, and Denver. I want to talk about how close we think the Wolves are to those teams. But I do want to know with Houston, that whole last drunk segment about the point guard position that we just had, I'm sure people in Houston are having the same conversation, because their answer, when I watch them right now for the point guard position, is having Şengün bring the ball up the floor, or Josh Okogie. You know, like they do not have the answers for the full court thing. And in Houston, they're having the same concerns internally about when we play Oklahoma City in the playoffs, what the hell are we going to do? Because they're going to not only pressure us full court, they're then going to pressure us in the half court there. So Houston's been really, really good this season, but it's interesting to me that they just have the same or very similar question marks, I think, to the Wolves in that long-term thing of when they have to play the Thunder there. And then it's, you know, Denver and Oklahoma City, then above Minnesota and Houston because of that. Do you see the Wolves right now to be the 4th best team in the Western Conference? Do you see them to be better than any of those teams? Or do you think there's a team below them in the West that could pass them?
It's hard because we just saw it in the playoffs, and that's what matters more. So maybe like when the playoffs crank up, we would see it again. But like we've seen the Lakers beat them, like not even talking about the game at Target Center where Ant didn't play, and obviously the Lakers didn't have anybody, but they did not have an answer for Luka in that game at crypto. And so that's hard for me to like automatically, like, I think I would trust the Wolves more in the playoffs. As far as just like what wins games in the playoffs, but it's just like looking at that a few weeks ago and being like, no problem there. I don't know. I guess I would put the Wolves ahead of, like, I think I'd have the Wolves fourth still. But it's not clear cut and dry like I thought it was maybe at the beginning of the year. That's all I would say is like my confidence in Minnesota has diminished to some degree of just like, I think part of it is because they played so many easy teams that what works and like putting in good practices has worked, but it's not to the level that it needs to be at to be good teams. So then when they play good teams, it's like, oh, geez, this is a lot more is required here. And maybe when you start playing a bunch of good teams, that's when you can actually rise to that level and almost acclimate yourself. Because right now they just
learn how to rise to that level.
Yeah, you know? Correct. Put your push to it. Because right now they haven't had to have it hardly. It's so sparingly that they look like they don't know what that looks like. And you can see when they play these bad teams against Dallas or whatever, it's like, this isn't great basketball. Like, it's just better than what Dallas is producing by a lot right now. So I will be very interested to see, like, okay, when they start playing better teams on a consistent basis, do they learn, get to that level, acclimate, and then I'll have a better gauge on who they are. So I still think they're fourth. I'm just not nearly as confident in it as I was probably a month ago.
Yeah, and I think they need to for sure find that level to be able to contend with Oklahoma City or to have a better record than Houston and Denver. I think they probably need to find that level to hold off the Lakers and the Spurs, from passing them in the standings, for regular season positioning. No, maybe they can make up some room on the Spurs here with Wemby out for a while. I think I saw Castle is out for a period of time for them too. Like, I don't think they do have room to make up some ground on them. The Lakers are going to sit guys throughout the season. Like, I think I would project or bet that the Wolves have a better record than the Lakers or the Spurs right now, but to confidently put them above them, I think even those fifth and sixth best teams in the conference, I think they need to figure those things out too. Like,
I think
must.
I think the play that they put out there, just the level that they're playing at, even while blowing out bad teams, is below what like San Antonio's played at when like Wemby's out there, and it's below what the Lakers have played at when their best players are out there. Like, just the pure level, I think, is lower than that. So I do think that I definitely think they have better basketball in them, and I agree with you that it's required. I think they'll find it. It has just like the schedule has made this a very jarring, like confusing watch, frankly. Of like, they look. Credit to them for putting away these teams that are terrible. It was funny when Julius the other night was like, there's no off night in the NBA. It's like, I'm looking at the standings. We got 1-win team, 1-win team, 2-win team, 3-win team. Yeah. There might be more nights off than there have ever been in the history of the NBA, frankly, of like this bottom 8 is horrendous. But they're taking care of business, and that's all great. But it's tough to gauge exactly like where they're at. This is a hard question for me right now, given who they've played, because the answers I don't know. We just don't have that many data points to be like, oh, here's how they compare to this team, or at least this tier of team. Like, we have very few of those right now. I'm actually looking forward to watching them play Phoenix on Friday.
Sure, I am too.
Really good basketball right now in Phoenix. NBA Cup game. Phoenix will take it seriously. The Wolves will take it seriously. I don't think Phoenix plays between now and then, so it won't have like a back-to-back type situation or whatever. Like, that'll be great. It'll be like another data point against at least a solid team, at minimum a solid team, and that'll be beneficial because we don't have very many of those right now.
Yeah, they're above 500, and you said earlier the Wolves are 0-5 against above 500 teams. Those 5 losses are 2 to Denver. Okay, Denver's better than the Wolves right now. 2 against the Lakers, and
the Knicks.
Yeah, and then the Knicks, like, those are good. Those are all good teams. And that was the Luka, like, Luka killed them in that first game. I think they can do a better job against Luka, but like Luka did Luka in that game, and they and it was in LA and they lost it. Like, I don't think they deserve to be killed for that. And that was the game Ant got hurt in too, right? Yeah.
He got hurt in that game. Yeah.
He got hurt in that game.
Yeah.
And then
the only bad loss, I think the only bad loss was the Denver one where Denver was down 2 starters. I think that was a bad loss. I do believe that.
Yeah. Bad is a little hot for me on that. I mean, I would point to the...
Yeah, sure. I'm saying above the 5. Like, I know, because you're cushioning all of them, and I agree with that, but I don't agree with cushioning the last Denver one.
Okay. All right. Yep. That's fair. I'm not pushing back too hard on that. Like, yeah, they blew it in the fourth quarter. They could have won. They could have won that game. I just think those are 5 good teams, or it's 3 good teams that they've lost to 5 times.
Right.
And yeah, they should have beat them in the Reeves game, but Reeves was incredible in that game, 28-16 and picking the Wolves apart there. It's a good stat to use as a proof that I don't totally believe is a proof yet, given that I've seen in the other 9 games, the Wolves look pretty awesome, and it's confusing. It's confusing. I don't feel super strongly on one side or the other of it, but if you just look at it simply through that lens, it's like, okay, whenever they play a good team, they lose. Well, they missed Ant in those games. Luka was incredible one night. 2 of them were against Jokic. Reeves was incredible one night. Yeah, they lost to the Knicks in New York. Ant's first game back. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to kill him for any of those. Maybe we point at the Reeves game and then that most recent Denver game, but should have got one of them, right?
That's where I think you start going like, you want one of them? I think that's where you because all these teams are, those are the teams. Yep. Those are the good teams you're trying to beat when you get to the playoffs. Like, yep, the Knicks. Yep, Luka.
Right.
Yep, Denver. Like, I mean, the Denver thing, the most notable thing about the Denver thing is that this is a team that has dominated the Nuggets, dominated them in recent years.
This is a different team. This is a different team, man.
I agree with you. But that's when something has changed. That's a thing you learn from that. I think even with adding guys, like there are probably a lot of Wolves fans out there, like we got Denver. We want Denver in the playoffs or whatever. And this was Denver even without its depth. So that matters too. Like that was a Denver bench that looked a lot closer to the ones they've had in past years. And they still won that game. And by the end of the game, you're like,
yep, that's on a back-to-back.
Fair. A home back-to-back. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I'm doing the
I'm not making any statements either. I'm just saying like it's a data point. Like I'm not like, oh, they can't beat good teams. I don't believe that. I think their level will raise when they play better teams more consistently and get a feel of like, oh, this is how we have to play to beat these teams, because they have gotten to settle into we're playing great right now when it's like it's not crisp enough to beat good teams, what you're doing against these bad teams.
They haven't beat good teams yet.
Yes.
That's the one thing we know.
Yep.
That's for sure true. I'd keep you a little bit longer than I said, but I appreciate you coming on and doing this. The Jaylen Clark bit, some of the numbers that Jace was running through at the beginning, you guys can read in the Pioneer Press today or at twincities.com. I always mess up the URL. Twincities.com, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. Go check that out. Obviously, if you're not subscribed to the Pioneer Press, make sure you're doing that. If you want to read Jace, I thought the Clark piece was really good, and Jace has been really right about Jaylen Clark this far this season, and this is kind of a confirmation on that. So check that out. Follow Jace on Twitter at Jace Frederick. Appreciate you doing it, man. For me, tomorrow after the Wolves-Wizards game, another battle, I will have Britt Robson here in studio with me, and we'll keep tracking where this team is at. Until then, he's Jace. I'm Dane. Peace out.
How I'm feeling, man, I hope it never stop, Green and hard so you can find me in the crowd, Don't let standards ever bring you down,